So we are now streaming live.
Okay.
So Shabbat Shalom to everybody who has just joined us on Facebook and whatever other media you may have joined on. We are going to be following in the service that you should have gotten a PDF in your Planet or however else you have found us. I'm going to send it again in the chat for those who see it there. You see the link to the PDF. It is very much like the service we used last summer. So if you have a copy of that and want to use that, you'll probably be fine. If you just want to wing it with us, that'll be fine too. So in the interest of sound quality, I will ask that everybody who's not yet muted, go ahead and mute, except of course me, that I'm gonna have to keep talking. And we thank in advance our behind the scenes person who is actually going to disappear for most of this. So hopefully we'll be able to keep everything up and running without any hitches, because if we have a hitch, we're stuck. So there we are. So again, Shabbat Shalom and welcome to tonight's service. We'll begin with our opening song. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. And for those who may have candles, we will now proceed with the candle lighting. They're cleverly behind me, so hopefully nothing bad will happen when I turn my back on. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who sanctified us with commandments and commanded us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. And again, people start wildly waving if I suddenly back into them or something, but I'll probably figure it out. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Barchuni l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh Baruch Hu. Welcome the ministering angels. We ask them to come in peace and bless us with peace and to go in peace. We continue now with the Baruch Hu. I won't be queuing for people to stand or sit because people will do as they see fit. And if it works for you, do it. And if you don't, it don't. And it's all good. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamivorach. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach leolam va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom our praise is due. Praise be Adonai, to whom our praise is due, now and forever. Eternal God, whose temple is the whole world and whose dwelling place is the human heart, we know that you are everywhere and that your presence never leaves us. Yet we are thankful for appointed times and chosen places where, in fellowship with one another, our spirits turn to you. At this service, at this hour, and in this place, help us to feel your nearness. The week of toil is ended, the day of rest has come, and we pause to reflect on the meaning of our lives. Source of all creation, you have given us the blessing of work, so that by our efforts we may fashion things and use the moments of helpfulness. You have also given us Shabbat for self-renewal and sanctification. May the work of our hands and minds be acceptable to you, and may this Shabbat enrich our lives, drawing us closer to you in truth and in love. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am v'shiftecha b'beitecha uv'leftecha v'derek uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu latotofot b'neinecha uv'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha L'man tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kidoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'hiyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. And in the words of Elie Wiesel, if we have learned one thing from our past, it is that to live through dramatic events is not enough. One has to share them and transform them into acts of conscience. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nerdar b'kodesh. No ratahilot, O seifele, no ratahilot, O seifele. Malchutecha, ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu v'yamru. Adonai imloch, Adonai imloch, leolam vaed. We continue with the Amidah. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. El Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel chasadim tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zocher chazdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei v'nehem, laman shemo bi'ahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, Michayei hakol atah rav lehoshia. Michalkel chaim bechesed, Michayei hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishene afar, michamocha ba'gavurot, umido melach, melech mimit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atalach hakayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, v'kadoshim b'kol yom yahalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We believe in tomorrow. We believe that we have the power to make tomorrow different from today. We believe that poverty need not be permanent and that people need not learn war forever. We believe in people despite all that we know about them. We believe that there can still be a time of peace and a time of justice, a time of fellowship and a time of tranquility for all who live on earth. We believe that we can have a share in bringing that day closer by the way in which we live in the week to come. And even though the world may smile at our dreams, it does not matter. We still believe. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'a, b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvorech et amo Yisrael. Shalom. We turn now to the Misha Berach prayer. We seem to have lost Arlene in the shuffle here, but we certainly include her in our thoughts as we go into this. Are there other people? I would add my friend Roger Godsey Bell to our list as well. Are there other names that we would like to add for the Misha Berach list? If so, those who are on Zoom can unmute, say the names, and then go back to muting if you like. And for any others, well, for all the people who are still suffering from the Surfside collapse and are experiencing bad things from Elsa working its way up the coast, and any others who are in need among the people we know and the people we don't. We'll continue with Misha Barak, which is at the top of page 5, if you've got the copy. Misha Barak Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We'll pause now for a moment of silent meditation and reflection. Yehiyu leratzon, imrefi v'higyon libi, lefanecha Adonai, tzuri v'goali. So this week we have a double Torah portion because, of course, 5781 is not a leap year. In non-leap years, a few weeks get extra Torah portions, and this is one of those weeks. So first we get Matot. It begins with the rules and the restrictions governing oaths and vows, especially the role of a husband or a father in either upholding or annulling the vow of a woman. And while it might offend modern sensibilities, in its time it was likely protective of women who were probably less educated and generally did not control the resources that might be necessary to fulfill their vows. Widows and divorcees, however, were responsible for their own vows. Next, our portion continues the story that Dr. Jacobs discussed last week. God is angry at the Midianites for leading the Israelites astray and orders a war to wipe them out. Our fighters are very successful. They kill the 5 Midianite kings, all the males, and Bilam, the Midianite prophet, and they bring back lots of booty. But Moses is upset that the women were taken captive. After all, they were the catalysts for the immoral behavior that was being avenged, and they needed to be killed, which is then done. Only virgins were spared. Now, the sizable spoils of the war were counted and divided and taxed. The commanding officers reported that there was not even one casualty among the Israelite troops. And as a result, they brought a voluntary offering of thanks out of their share. And as we also heard last week, the tribes of Gad and Reuben owned large quantities of livestock, and they requested to remain on the eastern side of the Jordan River and not to enter the land of Israel. They explained that the land east of the Jordan was excellent grazing land for their livestock. Now, Moses is concerned that those tribes not crossing the Jordan will echo the reaction to the reports of the spies in Numbers 13 and 14, which of course you all remember. In case you don't, there was a belief when the reports of the spies came reporting giants that could not possibly be defeated were in the land. And because most of the people believed them, well, all but 2 spies reported that, by the way, that led to about 40 years of wandering in the desert and basically waiting for the generations that had left Egypt to die off. Well, the leaders of those tribes promised to be a part of the forces that will conquer the land and not be a distraction and not be naysayers for the prospects of taking it over. And so Moses agrees to let them set up their homes and farms on the east side of the Jordan and then join in the big crossing of the Jordan River and the taking of the land. And then we move on to our second portion, Maaseh. Now that one begins with Moses reminding the people of all 42 encampments on their 40-year journey from Egypt to the crossing of the Jordan River. God commands the people to drive out the Canaanites from the land and to demolish every vestige of their idolatry. Failure to do so will leave the surviving Canaanites to be, quote, pins in their eyes and thorns in their sides. And that may have happened, but I don't want to spoil anything that might be coming up or not in future chapters. Now, after that, the boundaries of the promised land are fully laid out, tribe by tribe, in some detail. The people are also commanded to set aside those 48 cities for the Levites who do not receive a regular portion in the division of the land. In addition, there are cities of refuge or sanctuary cities to be established so that someone who accidentally kills another person may flee there and be safe from revenge. And then we have a reprise of another story that Dr. Jacobs shared last week, the story of the daughters of Zelophehad. Now, you may recall that in last week's portion, they were granted the right to inherit their father's property because there were no sons. But their kinsmen protest that the land could be transferred to other tribes if the women married men from other tribes. And so to solve that problem, the daughters were required to marry members of their own tribe, which was Manasseh. And with that, we close the book of Numbers. Well, so this is not the most uplifting of Torah portions. The rights and obligations and status of women fluctuates as we roll from verse to verse. And we have the near genocide of the Midianites and the admonition that the same needs to happen in Canaan. And we have the risk of dividing the people just as we most needed to be united. But there was also a theme of compromise and reconciliation. Even for fathers and husbands revoking women's vows, it was in part maybe to support the family presenting a unified front. Sanctuary cities attempted to stop the avenging of deaths from cycling out of control. There was the compromise of Reuben and Gad for providing soldiers to provide a unified front for entering the promised land, even as they planned to return to the east side of the Jordan after the battles were over. And the daughters of Zelophehad married cousins to keep their property within their tribe. None of these assumed a zero-sum game, where one side gained and the other lost proportionately. They reflected a way to have one side gain with the other not losing, or at least not losing much. For example, the tribes of Reuben and Dan gained the land they wanted, but did not deprive the larger community of their strength and determination on the battlefield. The daughters of Zelophehad gained their inheritance without their tribe losing land. So perhaps the message that we can take away today in the turmoil all around us is that we need to help people see that improving conditions for some does not need to be at the expense of others. At the same time, the rights and desires of the few may be tempered by the needs of the many. The struggle to balance these sometimes conflicting concepts can lead us to a brighter tomorrow. And they lead us to the time of peace and harmony for which we pray with the Aleinu prayer, which is found on page 6 of our service booklets. And we continue. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liot seher breshit, shelo asan kagoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yiyeh Adonai echad. Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad. I'm going to deviate from our script a little bit with a different reading that I like to use before the Mourner's Kaddish. It's called Every Time. Every time you act kindly, the world has more kindness. Every time you are compassionate, the world has more compassion. Every time you smile to someone, the world is a more cheerful place. Every time you give money to charity, the world is a more charitable place. Every time you calm someone who is angry, the world is a more pleasant place. Every time you judge someone favorably, you are making the world a kinder place to live. Every time you help transform someone's worry into serenity, the world is a more serene place. And every time you encourage someone to do something for others, you create a partner to make a better world. And as we turn to the Kaddish prayer, as a congregation this week, we remember Hyman Lerner, Morris Ostro, Coleman Schneidman, Catherine G. Rieger, Dr. Edward Fickler, Ann Lerner, and Seidel Merle. Are there other names that we should be adding to our yard site list? Yeah, we'll continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 6. Another page 6? No, Alina was on 5, sorry. All right. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma Divarach Hirute, V'yamlich Malchute, V'chayichon, Uvyomechon, Uv'chaye Dekol Beit Yisrael, V'agala Uvizman Kariv, V'yamru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah Mivarach Leolam, Ulamei Amaya, Yit Barak V'yish Tabak, V'yit Pa'ar, V'yit Ramam, V'yit Naseh, V'yit Hadar, V'yit Halev, V'yit Halal, Shemei Dekudesha Barichu, V'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechamata, Amiran Bialma V'yamru Amen. Yehi Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'yamru Amen. Osei Shalom B'mramav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'yamru Amen. And if anyone has their wine glasses or other substance for Kiddush, this would be the time. Oh, good, the candles are still here. Wine. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadsho, v'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila, l'mikroe kodesh, zecher litziat, Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikal hamim, v'shabbat kadshecha, v'yahava uvratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. Oh, it's up here. There it is. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom to everybody.
Oh, Arlene's back. She just missed her. We'll assure her that we included her.
There she is. There's Arlene.
Yay, Marlene. Arlene, you missed us saying it, but we definitely named and did the Mishaberach on your honor.
Yeah.
And we welcome you back to
You're on
the
mute.
service now.
Oh.
So in terms of announcements, I believe the choir is leading the service next week. There is I wish there was somebody from Adult Ed. I don't think there is anybody from Adult Ed here. There's a program on Sunday that I think I don't think it's too late to sign up for because it seemed like it was an auto response that gave me my confirmation back. And the topic something like, can God really do anything?
Right.
So it should be an interesting topic. And then there's another pair of programs, and that one's on Zoom. There's another pair of programs coming up in about 2 weeks that Adult Ed is sponsoring. I don't remember much about them, but they were in the Planet. They may or may not be in the Light this month, but they certainly would be something to pay attention to and be aware of. So there's not study tomorrow, but there will be next week. And what else do we know? I think that's pretty much the announcements. I'm sure there are more dates available. So if you've watched this evening and you watched last week or not, you say, I could do that. Yes, you could. You could sing or read or do whatever you want. It's up to you. There's a lot of flexibility. Just contact the rabbi. I suspect she's got a variety of terrific dates still available for anybody who says, yeah, I can do it. So that's an option. With that in mind, we do have on the back page of the booklet, we have a Don Olam. I wish we could do one that's more interactive because that would certainly be more fun, but we'll stick with sort of the traditional one. And then after that, I will see if I can figure out how to stop the stream, and then people are welcome to hang out for a while and chit chat and whatever. So, Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa V'chefza Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kichlot HaKol Livado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yihye B'tifara V'hu Echad V'ein Sheni Laham Shilo Lahachbira V'li Reshit V'li Tachlit V'lo Haoz V'hamizra V'hu Eli V'chai Goali V'tzur Chevli V'et Sahara V'hu Nisi Umanosli Menat Kosi V'yom Ekra Biado Avkid Ruchi V'et Ishan V'yaira V'im Ruchi Geviati Adonai Li V'lo ira. Just a little too low. Right, again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.